Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today on the Dungeon Dive, we have a little bonus episode on League of Dungeoneers. And this episode is going to focus on two topics. The first topic is 5 ways League of Dungeoneers is different than Warhammer Quest 95. And the second topic is 8 survival tips provided by Michael, the designer, to help ease your way into your first couple of games of League of Dungeoneers. So you will be hearing a lot about how League of Dungeoneers is kind of like Warhammer Quest. You will be hearing that from me. You've already heard it from Rob Oren. That is going to be, I think, kind of a typical talking point about this game. League of Dungeoneers should do a lot to quench the thirst of people who crave a Warhammer Quest reprint. However, it's not just a direct copy. League of Dungeoneers does a lot of things different, and I think I have pinpointed 5 key differences. So let's get into this. So number 1 is character creation. The character creation in League of Dungeoneers is way more in-depth than it is in Warhammer Quest. Not quite as in-depth as Dungeon Universalis, but that game is kind of on a completely different level. You will be combining a species and a profession. You will be rolling stats, assigning points, deriving skills from your attributes. You will be picking talents and backgrounds. During the first session, you might spend an hour or an hour and a half just creating the characters in your party. I happen to like that. I like that kind of table setting. I like that window dressing. I like that session 0 stuff where you are coming up with your characters and your world. Because for me and many others like me and like Deborah from Geek Gamers, everything is play. From the moment I open the box of a game or break that spine of a new book, I am absorbed in the world of the game and I want to feel like I am playing. So I like that. However, not everyone does. And as a matter of fact, I just played this game with a couple buddies yesterday, and one of them was very turned off by the kind of complex character creation. He wanted to dive right into what he considered the game, and that is the dungeon diving. And so maybe just think about that. If you're planning to play this game with other people, ask them if they want to go through the character creation process, or if they don't, maybe offer to roll up a character for them. Okay, number 2 is the combat is far more involved and far more tactical. This is not just a hack and slash action RPG. You will need to think about facing. You will need to think about spacing. You will need to think about dodging and taking defensive stances. You need to worry about your armor and your weapons taking damage and getting destroyed. With more involved combat, the combat encounters can go for quite a bit. They can go on for quite a few minutes. Maybe a little bit too long for me, depending on how the dice roll, but I still do enjoy them. If you approach the combat in League of Dungeoneers like you do in Warhammer Quest, where maybe you just want to huddle up at doors, or maybe you just want to take corners and roll dice and swing away, you will not survive. Okay, number 3. The world is more of a generic fantasy world, and that has good things and bad things depending on how you feel about that. Warhammer Quest is set in a concretely defined world with decades of background and backstory and lore. And I think it is best played working within the parameters of that setting. League of Dungeoneers feels more generic, for good and bad. It's far easier to add your own stuff to League of Dungeoneers and have it feel like it fits in to the world provided by the game's creators. Because you can use just about any kind of fantasy thing that you already have. As a matter of fact, I'm already thinking of ways to introduce the Untold Encounters of Random Kind, the Untold Encounters of the Random Kind book from Loke Battlemats, their amazing book of random encounters, to use that as a supplement. I think things like this would fit perfectly within the world of League of Dungeoneers. Okay, number 4. There are a handful of linear campaigns that you can go on while also having random quests. For players who want to have a more guided story experience. League of Dungeoneers offers that. But again, as I've said in previous videos, these are more like short stories and not epic novels. Warhammer Quest had that a little bit in the 2 boxed expansions, but League of Dungeoneers does it a little more traditionally for those looking for that narrative style campaign. However, those are just kind of, they're not shoehorned in, but they're bookended by the overall thrust of the campaign, which is a character survival campaign. And number 5, the last way that I think League of Dungeoneers is very different than Warhammer Quest, and that is outfitting your party with proper survival gear is crucial. It is super important. You will want and need to visit a general store whenever you can, and you will be absolutely thrilled when you can get a chance just to buy an empty bottle or a mundane torch. I'm telling you, when you roll that availability on an empty bottle for your alchemist, you will be thrilled. Like, yes, I finally have 5 empty bottles so I can make all of my potions. Rations are crucial, as are other assorted items used in adventuring and survival. In Warhammer Quest, you were basically okay as long as you had a rope, right? But in League of Dungeoneers, you need a lot more, and until you get your party all geared up, you will be feeling some stress about it. You will be feeling that stress of just not having the right tool for the job. And now we're moving into topic number 2, and these are, did I say 8 at the beginning of the video? These are 10 survival tips. I think Michael provided 8 in one group because I asked him to, but previously he had provided a couple more. So I combined them into 10 survival tips from the designer of League of Dungeoneers. So number 1, after the initial quest, buy armor if you can afford it. Otherwise, buy some bandages and beef jerky. Number 2, having 1 to 2 heroes knocked out is not uncommon, so having the means to heal them is recommended. Number 3, buy rations so you can take short rests and regain your energy, HP, and mana. Very important. You can take short rests in the dungeon, and you will need to. Not only do the short rests heal you, but they also lower the threat level of the dungeon because your heroes are quiet. So yeah, highly recommended. Number 4, don't poke around statues and sarcophagi unless you feel lucky. I'm not going to spoil what might happen if you aren't lucky when you do that. Number 5, create an all-around party. Combine different abilities. This is so important. Warhammer Quest is a little easier to play with fewer than 4 heroes. It scales. You can scale the enemies down, and you don't need all of the attributes from all of the different warriors in Warhammer Quest. I guess this is another way that the games are quite different, is party composition. You need a thief, or you at least need somebody who's really good at picking locks and disarming traps in League of Dungeoneers, or you will not make it very far. Okay, number 6, learn when to be offensive and when to defend. You need to be tactical. Shove, charge, go into Overwatch. Just don't keep on hacking. Number 7, weapons that can stun your enemies can give you that break that you desperately need. Very, very good tip there. Number 8, close doors behind you unless you have bashed them down. It will delay wandering monsters and might give you a chance to rest. We closed some doors yesterday, and that was kind of saved our butts. Number 9, don't break down doors unless it's necessary. The noise it makes will attract wandering monsters. That is very true. And finally, number 10, bring a light source. That increase to your res stat can make the difference when things get spooky. Light can help you pass your fear and terror tests. So very, very important. So all right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed this quick bonus video on League of Dungeoneers. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.